are these people?
Man, it's hard to do this, everyone. We're gonna do both, so we'll get to the eye bleach in a minute. But Indie Media Award honoree Mondoweiss put out a photo essay that I don't think nearly enough people saw, and this photo cover got me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, we got to show this. Abdul Rahman Mustafa Kabanai's child sleeps outside on a property where the owners let the family use the land after settler attacks forced the family off its land in the West Bank following October 7th. They're sleeping outside on a bed with nothing. That's not even a fucking tent.
Mm-hmm.
And corporate media will never allow you to see any of this. As he says, while the world watches Gaza unfold, a shadow is cast upon the occupied West Bank where a surge of unprecedented violence and displacement is taking place. Abdul Rahman says it's a totally different life between October 6th and October 7th after his entire community was forced to flee or fear for their lives. Since October 7th, 20 Palestinian communities in the West Bank, again, they did not attack anyone on October 7th. The West Bank didn't do this. Hamas was in Gaza. Compromising over 1,000 people have been displaced due to settler violence. Additionally, of course, the number of Palestinians displaced by settler violence on an average per month has more than doubled, totaling 280 per month. Again, let's remember what's happening there. They're literally just walking up to people's house, people and saying, you know this house? Get the fuck out. This is now our house. And then we're going to get a bulldozer and destroy everything that you've worked for, built, and lived for. And I don't give a shit where you go, but it ain't going to be here. That's what's going on here. And the world just stands by and watches. All right. Again, in tandem with settler violence, home demolitions by the Israeli government have also increased. In a recent report by the United Nations Humanitarian Agency, which, of course, Israel deems Hamas, it states from October 7th through June 3rd of this year, the Israeli government destroyed over 900 homes, displacing over 2,000 people through demolitions alone. And that there was a 36% increase in displacement just since the beginning of 2023. Yeah, we're going to do boats. We're going to do boats after this.
Mm-hmm.
Following images were taken in the South Hebron Hills and Jordan Valley of the West Bank. The photographs document 5 families that have been forced out of their communities due to settler violence or lost their homes from demolitions, and in some cases due to both. Their stories share an ongoing reality of displacement and settler harassment throughout the West Bank, and now also, by the way, throughout southern Lebanon. He says every single family I spoke with is still being harassed by the same settlers who displaced them and reported their homes to the army for demolition. It's not enough that they kicked them out of their homes and destroyed their homes. They're still harassing them. This is the barn that he recently built for his goats, which I'm sure will be bombed at some point, right? He lived with his wife and 7 children in Wadi al-Sik, small village in the Jordan Valley consisting of 31 families. Tiny. The village started having problems with settlers when an outpost was built nearby, an outpost being an illegal settlement. From February until October of last year, the community experienced nearly daily harassment. But of course, after October 7th, the settlers increased their harassment to new heights and prevented the community from using any source of water and blocked off entrances for vehicles. On October 10th, an Israeli activist discovered a settler online chat forum calling for the massacre of Wadi al-Sik. 2 days later, settlers came into the village and started attacking the entire community of 250, beating them to the ground, putting boots to their faces, and shooting in the air. Nice, peaceful, most peaceful army in the world. Only democracy in the Middle East, right?
Yep.
Abdul Rahman says that after the beating, they gathered us all in one place and told us, you have 1 hour. Any Palestinian left here will die. The entire community left on October 12th and have been displaced throughout the surrounding areas.
Yep.
His children stand by a water tank, which is their family's source of fresh water. The Kavanaugh family has been displaced twice since fleeing Wadi al-Sik, moving in between different properties in Ramun. The owner of the land where they're currently living has allowed them to stay temporarily, and they don't know what they'll do once they have to leave. Like, fucking monsters.
Yep.
All right. This is Suleiman Zawahiri in Duma of the Jordan Valley. Rashash was a small community located in the Jordan Valley. In 2015, the Israeli Civil Administration demolished all the homes in Rashash. The members of the community, most of the members of the community left, except for Suleiman Zawahiri and his tribe. The tribe comes from a long history of Bedouins, and their livelihood depends on grazing sheep. But since 2017, Israeli settlers started expanding more structures near their land, denying access to grazing and blocking access to their spring, a vital resource for the village. Go figure. Again,
Yep.
the fight over water. After October 7th, the community faced an even harsher reality. 3 days after the 7th, settlers brought bulldozers and blocked the entrances to the village, came into the community, and increased their harassment. Where have we heard this before? Working with Israeli activists against displacement and land seizure, the activists informed them the neighboring village of Wadi al-Sik had fled due to threats against their lives and told them they had no way to help the residents of Rashash. On October 14th, 2 days after Wadi al-Sik, the community of 18 families decided to unblock the road at night and abandon their homes for fear the village would have the same fate as Wadi al-Sik. They were right. Suleiman describes it as a Nakba following another Nakba, saying of the settlers that they used the war to take our lands. The community currently finds themselves spread out in the neighboring town of Duma. I mean, look at that. His home was recently demolished for being unauthorized by the Israeli Civil Administration, and he now sleeps in a tent with his family next to Suleiman's tent. That was his cousin. They're just destroying these for the sake of destroying them. There's his son who poses for a portrait on his mattress where he sleeps in a partially demolished building in Duma. And
which I'm sure is totally safe.
And there's more. Oh, yeah. And it would never be bombed itself or targeted. I mean, they collect items from the rubble of their recently demolished home. Just the same story over and over again. Look at this. They found a cave for shelter and sleeping for when it actually does rain in the desert. Like, this looks literally like Star Wars. Like, this is what Annie M and or Aunt Beru, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Nobody else was showing this, so I thought I needed to. Because I saw this and I just...
Sure.
I couldn't believe that nobody else was really sharing this. And they're still trying to rebuild their lives. And keep them going. Mahmoud fixed an olive tree with his son Anan outside a shed on his property that will now be his temporary shelter. This is my land. I have the right to build a shelter for my children on my property. And he said, all my life dreams collapsed in front of my eyes. We're waiting for God. We have no plan. Well, unfortunately, we know what Bibi's plan is and what Israel's plan is for them.
Yep.
It ain't good. Here's another makeshift mosque for them to pray in before going to sleep in the shed that is their new home. Just, we are responsible for all of this. We're the bad guys, guys. I know you know. I know we all know.
Yep.
The reason why we're shadow banned, demonetized, and suppressed like shit is because of stuff like that. But I thought it was important to share. These people already have. J-Dub, you're on there now too. Thank you. Really appreciate you supporting independent media, because you do, and you kill it over on Instagram. My God. If I got those numbers all the time, I don't know what I'd do. We have gotten some new supporters, and we are eternally grateful for it.
Wow, incredible.
Yes. So we updated the slide. It's now called the Wall of Fame. We made some more room for more people to be able to be added to that wall because we were filling up pretty nice. Thank you so much for that. We are still a couple $100 away from paying off Zago for all of the illustrations, and that's going to be great when we do that.
Great success.
It has been a great success.